Hud, chapter 11, verse 62 from the Qur'an. They said, "O Saleh, before this you were a source of hope to us. Do you forbid us to worship what our fathers had been worshiping? We have indeed grave doubts concerning that to which you invite us." He said, "O my people, tell me, should I stand in a clear proof from my Lord? And he has granted me his own mercy. Who will protect me from God should I disobey him? For then you will increase me in nothing but loss. O my people, this she-camel of God is a sign for you. Let her graze freely in God's land, and do not cause her any harm, for then you will be seized by a prompt punishment." But then they hamstrung her, whereupon he said, "Enjoy yourselves in your homes for 3 days. That is a promise not to be belied." So when our edict came, we delivered Saleh and the faithful who were with him by mercy from us and from the punishment and disgrace of that day. Your Lord is indeed the all-strong, the Almighty. The cry seized those who were wrongdoers, and they lay lifeless, prostrate in their homes, as if they had never lived there. Behold, Thamud indeed defies their Lord. Now away with Thamud. Certainly, our messengers came from Abraham with the good news and said, "Peace, peace." He replied. Presently, he brought for them a roasted calf. But when he saw their hands not reaching out for it, he took them amiss and felt a fear of them. They said, "Do not be afraid. We have been sent to the people of Lot." His wife standing by laughed as we gave her the good news of the birth of Isaac and of Jacob after Isaac. She said, "Oh my, shall I, an old woman, bear children? And while this husband of mine is an old man? That is indeed an odd thing." They said, "You are amazed at God's dispensation, that is, God's mercy, and his blessing upon you, members of the household? He is indeed all laudable, all glorious." Commentary. In this passage, similar to Q 15:51 through 56, Q 29:31 through 35, and Q 51:24 through 34, the Quran develops the tradition found in Genesis 18 of the 3 mysterious visitors to Abraham who deliver the news that he and his wife Sarah will miraculously have a son in their old age. The Lord appeared to him at the oak of Mamre while he was sitting by the entrance of the tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up, and there he saw 3 men standing near him. As soon as he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them and bowed to the ground. Verse 9 of Genesis 18. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "She is in the tent," he replied. Then his guest said, "I shall come back to you next year, and then your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well on in years, and Sarah had ceased to have her monthly periods. So Sarah laughed to herself, thinking, "Now that I am past the age of childbearing, and my husband is an old man, is pleasure to come my way again?" But the Lord asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Am I really going to have a child now that I am old?' Nothing is impossible for the Lord. I shall come back to you at the same time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Genesis 18, 1 through 2, and verses 8 through 14. Genesis suggests that it was God himself who appeared to Abraham, whereas the Qur'an speaks only of messengers or guests. Genesis also 18:8 reports that these visitors ate the food Sarah prepared for them, whereas the Qur'an, verse 70, reports that they do not eat. In this, the Qur'an follows the manner in which Jewish and Christian sources read this story. Justin Martyr, Dialogue with Trypho, chapter 57, makes the visitors out to be angels, as does Ephraim, commentary on Genesis 5:15. Genesis Reba 48:9 agrees that the visitors were angels and adds they only pretended to eat, and this in order to confirm with human customs, 48:14. Targum Neofiti on Genesis 18:8 relates, they seemed to Abraham as if they were eating and as if they were drinking. Unlike Genesis, the Qur'an mentions the laughter of Sarah, who is referred to only as Abraham's wife, before it mentions the annunciation of Isaac. Qur'an, however, recognizes that the Qur'an means to say that Sarah laughed because of the annunciation, despite the Qur'an's syntax. Hence, he translates, his wife standing by laughed as we gave her the good news. The as in his translation renders the Arabic word wa, which means translators render differently. And his wife was standing there, and she laughed. But we gave her glad tidings of Isaac, and after him of Jacob, Yusuf Ali. Or, and his wife was standing by, she laughed. Therefore we gave her the glad tidings of Isaac, and after Isaac of Jacob, Arbary. These translations reflect the various manners by which the classical exegetes attempted to understand why Sarah laughed. According to Tafsir al-Jalalain, Sarah laughed because she was happy that Lot's people would be punished for their unrighteousness at the good tidings of their destruction. However, Qur'an is right that the Qur'an means, like the Bible, that Sarah laughed upon hearing the Annunciation. It mentions her laughter first only because of its adherence here to a rhyme scheme with it or u as the final vowel. The phrase she laughed, Arabic, dahikat, does not match this scheme. Neither, for that matter, does Isaac, Arabic, Ishaq. Thus, the Qur'an includes Isaac's son Jacob, Arabic, Yaqub, in the Annunciation so that it preserves the rhyme. The connection between the addition of the name of Jacob here and the rhyme scheme is still clearer in light of a comparison with the other two passages, Q 15:53 and Q 15:28, that mention the Annunciation. Each of these speaks only of a son, not a son and a grandson. Very interesting, very interesting. So we see that the Qur'an and the Bible speak of the angels coming to Abraham, the friend of God. Did you know the Qur'an and the Bible speak of Abraham as the friend of God? I love that. We can be the friends of God just like Abraham. I'm amazed at the relentless pursuit of God and God's Spirit on humanity. He loves us. He loves us. Let me say it again. He loves us. It's a beautiful story about how God interacts with Abraham, and he promises Abraham a son through Sarah. They're both old, 80s or 90s. And Sarah laughs because she can't believe it. And sure enough, a year later, Isaac is born. Isaac is born. What a beautiful story. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus, for this story. Well, I hope you could join me if these readings are a blessing to you. I hope you'll join our group on Facebook called ESL Connects Us, Study the Bible and the Quran. You can find that link down below. I would love to interact with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these beautiful readings. Again, I hope you'll like the video and join the discussion. Have a wonderful day today.